Celestial Negotiations. Princess Aria stood at her chamber window overlooking the vast crystal spires of Vorxia Prime, the imperial capital of the Vorxian Empire. Her purple skin shimmered with subtle bioluminescence as she watched the arrival of diplomatic vessels from across the galaxy. 12 civilizations, sending their finest representatives, said Imperial Advisor Thorn from behind her, each hoping to secure your hand in marriage, and with it, access to Vorxian hyperspace technology. Aria turned, her delicate features arranged in practiced diplomatic neutrality. "And each caring nothing for me beyond what my bloodline represents," she replied. "Your union will shape galactic politics for centuries to come," Thorn reminded her. "The Council of Elders expects you to choose wisely." Aria nodded, absently touching the ceremonial crystal circlet that adorned her forehead. The weight of it seemed heavier today as the marriage ceremony approached in 3 standard cycles. "Tell me about the observers," she said, changing the subject. "The ones not participating in the courtship." Thorn consulted his data tablet. "Most are diplomatic attachés from neutral systems, but there is one unusual delegation, humans from the planet Earth. They've only achieved interstellar travel within the last decade. Primitive, but apparently promising enough to receive an observation invitation." "Humans?" Aria tested the unfamiliar word. "What do we know about them?" "Very little. They're from a small yellow star system in the Orion spiral, bipedal mammals with short lifespans. Their technology is rudimentary, but they've shown remarkable adaptive capacity. Their delegation is small, just 3 representatives." Aria's interest was piqued. "Ensure they're given proper accommodation. I'm curious about these newcomers." The grand reception hall filled with representatives from the most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy. The draconian delegates, with their scaled bodies and imposing height, occupied one section, while the crystalline Lumarians glittered in another. The insectoid hive collective buzzed quietly among themselves. Each group remained separate, eyeing competitors warily. Dr. Sarah Chen stood with her colleagues Captain Cooper and Engineer Aya beside a refreshment table, feeling distinctly out of place. Their simple blue Earth Alliance uniforms looked plain next to the ornate ceremonial attire of the alien dignitaries. "Remember, we're just observers here," Captain Cooper whispered. "The first humans ever invited to a Vorxian imperial ceremony. We're making history just by standing in this room." Sarah nodded, adjusting her translator device. "I still don't understand why they invited us. Earth has nothing to offer the Vorxian Empire." "Maybe they're collecting the full set," Aya joked. "One representative from every spacefaring race, no matter how insignificant." The massive crystal doors at the end of the hall opened, and the assembled guests fell silent. Princess Aria entered flanked by Imperial guards. Her ornate silver and blue garments flowed around her tall, slender form. Her purple skin seemed to capture and reflect the light, giving her an ethereal quality. "She's beautiful," Sarah whispered. "And the most politically significant being in this quadrant of the galaxy," Cooper added. "Whoever marries her gains access to Vorxian hyperspace technology, and with it, dominance of interstellar trade routes." Elder Torak, a venerable Vorxian with deeply etched facial markings, stepped forward. "Esteemed guests, we welcome you to Vorxia Prime. For 12 solar cycles, you will present your cases for alliance through marriage. At the conclusion, Princess Aria will select one suitor, binding our empires together. Let the ceremony of presentation begin." Commander Kai of the Draconian Hegemony stepped forward first. His muscular, scaled form towered over most other delegates. "The Draconian Hegemony controls 40 star systems," he announced, his voice rumbling through the hall. "Our warships are unmatched, our mineral resources abundant. Choose the Hegemony, Princess, and together we will rule the stars through military might." Aria inclined her head gracefully in acknowledgement, but her eyes revealed nothing of her thoughts. Sarah found herself taking notes on her datapad. The diplomatic implications of this ceremony were enormous. Whoever the princess chose would reshape the power balance of known space. As different suitors presented their cases, Sarah noticed the princess glancing occasionally toward the human delegation. Her violet eyes seemed curious, perhaps even intrigued. "Cooper," Sarah whispered, "I think the princess is looking at us." "Don't be ridiculous," he replied. "We're furniture here, nothing more." But as the ceremony continued, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Princess Arya was indeed watching them with particular interest. When their eyes briefly met across the crowded hall, Sarah felt an unexpected connection that sent a strange shiver down her spine. What could the princess of the most powerful empire in the galaxy possibly want with humans? Demonstrations of power. The second day of the courtship ceremony began with a display of technological prowess in the vast demonstration arena outside the royal palace. Each suitor had prepared elaborate showcases of their civilization's greatest achievements. Dr. Sarah Chen stood with Cooper and Aya in the observers section, taking detailed notes. The scientific advancements on display were centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. "Look at that," Aya whispered as Commander Kai activated a draconian battlecruiser hovering above the arena. The massive ship's weapon systems powered up, creating visible distortions in the atmosphere. "That vessel could probably destroy our entire fleet without breaking a sweat." The ship fired at designated targets, reducing them to subatomic particles in spectacular bursts of energy. The draconian delegation roared their approval, while Commander Kai stood with arms crossed, his scaled chest puffed with pride. "The Hegemony's Annihilator-class vessels can neutralize any planetary defense system in existence," he announced. "Our engineers have developed weapons that can target specific genetic signatures, eliminating enemy populations while leaving infrastructure intact." Sarah felt a chill at his casual description of genocide disguised as military efficiency. Next came Lord Zenith of the Lumerian Collective. His crystalline body refracted light in mesmerizing patterns as he stepped to the center of the arena. "The Draconians offer destruction," he said, his melodic voice like wind chimes. "We Lumerians offer creation." He raised his translucent hands, and the air around him began to shimmer. Particles coalesced, forming complex molecular structures before the audience's eyes. Raw elements transformed into precious materials, building blocks rearranged into impossible configurations. "Matter manipulation at the quantum level," Sarah murmured, recording everything with her device. "They're essentially rewriting physical laws." "We can transmute elements, heal any wound, create materials that cannot exist naturally," Lord Zenith continued. "Through marriage with Princess Arya, the Vorxian Empire would gain mastery over the fundamental building blocks of the universe." The demonstrations continued throughout the morning. Each species presented increasingly impressive displays of power. Elder Vex from the Hive Collective released millions of synchronized nanobots that built and dismantled complex structures in perfect harmony. The Quantum Syndicate revealed technology that could fold space-time, creating shortcuts through the universe. Sarah watched Princess Arya during these presentations. The princess maintained perfect diplomatic composure, but seemed strangely unmoved by the spectacular displays of power. Only occasionally did a flicker of interest cross her features. During a brief recess, Sarah stood examining the molecular composition of a Lumerian artifact when she felt a presence beside her. "Your data recording device is quite primitive, yet efficient in its simplicity." Sarah turned with surprise to find Princess Arya standing next to her. The princess had approached without her usual entourage and was regarding Sarah with undisguised curiosity. "Your Highness," I bowed awkwardly, unsure of the proper protocol. "It's just a standard field scanner, nothing special by galactic standards, I'm sure." "Yet you've modified it," Arya observed, pointing to several customizations. "These additions weren't part of the original design." Sarah smiled. "Good eye.
I adapted it to work better in varied environmental conditions, added some memory capacity, and enhanced the spectrographic functions. You improved it yourself instead of replacing it with something better. Arya seemed genuinely intrigued by this concept. Earth technology develops through iteration, Sarah explained. We improve what we have layer by layer. Sometimes the older foundations are still visible in the newest designs. Before Arya could respond, Commander Kai approached, his towering form casting a shadow over both women. His reptilian eyes narrowed at seeing the princess engaged in conversation with a human. Princess Arya, the atmospheric manipulation demonstration is about to begin. Surely you wouldn't want to miss it for a conversation with these primitives. Arya's expression cooled. I decide what deserves my attention, Commander. Of course, bowed stiffly. I merely thought scientific curiosities should be reserved for after the important matters are concluded. After he departed, Sarah released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. I apologize if my presence has created awkwardness. His arrogance creates the awkwardness, not you, Arya replied. Tell me, Dr. Chen, what would Earth demonstrate if you were competing for alliance? Sarah thought for a moment. Nothing as impressive as what we've seen, but perhaps our adaptability. Our history is filled with moments where we overcame limitations through creative thinking rather than raw power. Arya's eyes lit with interest. Fascinating. Most species pursue power, but you suggest a different path. Tell me more about this human adaptability. Princess, Imperial Advisor Thorne called from across the pavilion. The demonstrations are resuming. We will continue this discussion, Dr. Chen. I find your perspective refreshing. As Sarah rejoined her colleagues, she noticed Commander Kai watching her, his reptilian face twisted in a scowl. What did the princess want? Cooper asked incredulously. She was curious about humans, Sarah replied, still processing the encounter. Be careful, Aya warned. We're caught between powers we barely understand. Politics in the vacuum of space is even more dangerous than on Earth. Sarah nodded, but couldn't help feeling a strange connection to the purple-skinned princess. Despite their different worlds and vastly different technologies, something in their brief exchange had resonated on a deeper level. As the demonstrations resumed, Sarah noticed Arya frequently glancing toward the human delegation. The princess seemed to be paying more attention to their reactions than to the spectacular displays of power before her. Commander Kai noticed too. His scaled hands clenched into fists as he followed the princess's gaze. Something dangerous was forming in his reptilian eyes, something that made Sarah deeply uneasy.
Unexpected connection. The grand library of the Vorxian Imperial Palace stretched impossibly high, with data crystals and ancient manuscripts from across the galaxy, organized in spiral arrangements that mimicked the structure of the universe itself. Sarah ran her fingers along shelves containing knowledge accumulated over millennia, feeling both exhilarated and overwhelmed. I could spend lifetimes here and barely scratch the surface, she murmured to herself. Most visitors say that, came a voice from behind her. Sarah turned to find Princess Arya standing alone in simple robes rather than her formal regalia. Without her ceremonial adornments, she appeared younger, more approachable, though no less regal. Your Highness, Sarah bowed. I didn't expect to find you here. Please call me Arya when we're away from official functions, the princess said, moving closer. And I often come here to think. The quietest place in the palace, ironically, filled with the voices of countless civilizations. I'm honored, but shouldn't you be with the delegation from the Quantum Syndicate? I heard they're presenting their unified field theory proposal this afternoon. Arya made a dismissive gesture. More attempts to impress me with power I already understand. I've arranged for us to speak privately. I want to learn about humans without the political theater. She gestured toward a secluded alcove with comfortable seating overlooking the capital city. Its privacy fields shimmered subtly, ensuring their conversation would remain unheard. Tell me about Earth, Arya said, once they were seated.
Not the diplomatic version, the truth. Sarah considered her words carefully. We're young compared to the civilizations here. Still learning, still making mistakes. We fight among ourselves over resources, ideology, territory. We've nearly destroyed ourselves several times. But we also create beautiful things, art, music, ideas. We explore not just because we want power, but because we're curious. Curious, Arya repeated the word as if testing its flavor. That quality seems to have diminished in older species. We seek advantage, security, dominance, but rarely knowledge for its own sake. What about the Vorxian's empire? Your technology is beyond anything we can imagine. Arya's expression grew contemplative. We've achieved much, but advancement has plateaued. The empire maintains rather than discovers. We haven't had a truly revolutionary breakthrough in centuries. We've become curators, not creators. The conversation flowed easily as afternoon stretched into evening. They discussed Earth history, Vorxian philosophy, music, literature, and the nature of intelligence. Sarah found herself forgetting she was speaking with the most politically significant being in this sector of the galaxy. Instead, Arya seemed like a kindred spirit, despite their different origins. What troubles me about the suitors, Arya confessed, is that none of them see me beyond my political value. They offer power, alliances, technology, but nothing I don't already possess in some form. None offer new perspectives, new ways of seeing the universe. "What are you looking for?" Sarah asked. Arya's luminescent eyes met hers. "Something I didn't know I needed until recently. Challenge, growth, change." Their hands rested near each other on the seating platform. Sarah noticed the delicate structure of Arya's fingers, the subtle patterns in her purple skin. Against all protocol and common sense, she felt an undeniable connection forming. "In 3 days, I must choose a suitor. A decision that will shape galactic politics for generations. The Council of Elders has made it clear that the Draconian Alliance is favored. Commander Kai brings military might that would secure our borders for centuries." "Is that what you want?" "What I want has rarely been considered relevant," Arya said softly. Their conversation was interrupted by the sharp sound of the library doors opening. Imperial Advisor Thorn entered with Commander Kai close behind him. The Draconian's reptilian eyes narrowed upon seeing the princess and human together. "Your Highness," Thorn bowed, "the Council requests your presence immediately. Urgent matters regarding the ceremony require your attention." Arya stood regally. "Of course, I'll be there shortly." Commander Kai stepped forward. "Allow me to escort you, Princess." "That won't be necessary, Commander," Arya replied coolly. "Please return to your delegation. I'll join the Council momentarily." After Thorn departed, with visible reluctance, Kai remained, his imposing scaled form blocking the exit. "Forgive my directness, Princess, but consorting with primitives is beneath your station. The human civilization can offer nothing to the Empire. They are barely more than intelligent animals." Sarah felt her cheeks flush with anger, but held her tongue. "You forget yourself, Commander." Arya's voice carried dangerous authority. "You are a guest here. Your status as suitor does not grant you the right to dictate my associations." "Of course," he bowed stiffly, but his eyes remained fixed on Sarah with undisguised hostility. "I speak only out of concern for the Empire's interests, Your Highness." After he finally departed, Arya turned to Sarah. "I apologize for his behavior." "No need. Your position must attract many who feel entitled to your attention." "Sarah," Arya said, using her first name for the first time, "would you join me tomorrow in my private gardens? There's much more I wish to discuss." The invitation sent an unexpected thrill through Sarah. "I would be honored." As they parted, Sarah felt the weight of what was happening. This was no longer merely diplomatic observation. She was forming a personal connection with Princess Arya, a relationship that could have profound consequences for both their civilizations. And clearly, not everyone was pleased about it. Walking back to the Earth delegation's quarters, Sarah felt eyes upon her. From shadowed alcoves, members of various delegations watched her with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. Something was happening, something that threatened the carefully orchestrated political dance of the marriage ceremony. And somehow, she, a human scientist from Earth, had become central to it all.
Trials of worth. Commander Kai's scaled fist slammed onto the council table. This is unacceptable. A human interfering with centuries of diplomatic tradition. The representatives from 12 galactic powers murmured their agreement. The council chamber buzzed with tension. Princess Arya spends more time with the Earthwoman than with any suitor, Lord Zenith observed, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. I propose a solution, Kai's reptilian eyes narrowed. A series of trials to demonstrate the true worth of each civilization. Let us see how these humans compare to established galactic powers. Elder Torak considered the proposal. The princess must agree to this arrangement. To everyone's surprise, Arya consented. 3 trials: knowledge, leadership, and compassion. Let each participant demonstrate their civilization's approach. The first trial began the following morning. Commander Kai's solution to an unstable planetary core involved massive energy weapons to forcibly stabilize it. Lord Zenith proposed quantum restructuring of the planet's elements. The Hive Collective suggested sacrificing the planet's surface to save its core. When Sarah's turn came, she proposed something unexpected. We wouldn't try to control the planet's natural processes. We'd evacuate the population, create floating cities in the atmosphere, and harvest the planet's energy during its natural transformation. You would abandon the surface? Kai scoffed. We'd adapt to changing circumstances rather than force our will upon nature. Sometimes the most powerful solution is knowing when not to use power. The second trial tested leadership. Each participant led a mixed team through a crisis simulation. Kai demanded absolute obedience. Zenith tried to solve every problem himself. The Hive Collective struggled with individual thinking. Sarah listened to each team member, identified their strengths, and assigned tasks accordingly. When unexpected challenges arose, her team adapted quickly. Leadership isn't about being the strongest, she explained to Arya. It's about bringing out the best in everyone. The final trial involved a diplomatic scenario with a newly discovered sentient species. Commander Tai proposed immediate military containment. Zenith suggested technological barriers. The Hive Collective recommended assimilation. Sarah presented a plan for cultural exchange, mutual learning, and gradual integration. Every intelligence has something valuable to teach us. Different doesn't mean inferior. As the trials concluded, Arya stood before the assembled delegations. These demonstrations have been illuminating. I will announce my decision tomorrow. That evening, Sarah found Arya waiting in the palace gardens. You've caused quite a disruption, Arya said softly. Some delegations threaten to leave the alliance if I continue showing interest in humans. I never meant to complicate things. Arya moved closer. Yet you have, in the best possible way. Their fingers intertwined. For the first time, I'm considering what I want, not just what the Empire expects. Their faces drew together hesitantly, then with growing certainty. Their lips met in a kiss that defied galactic politics. This will cause a diplomatic crisis, Sarah whispered. Perhaps, or perhaps it's exactly what the galaxy needs, Arya smiled.